Welcome back to EziTorque, fueled by the Eziway Car Club. We thought we'd just sneak another episode in before lockdown because it looks like Victorians haven't been behaving. So Curtis and James are back here with me and we're going to talk about the Kia Stinger today and rear-wheel drive cars. And I promise you I won't rock for the whole show. Sorry boys, I had to throw that in. So Curtis, how are you today?
Yeah, good Nick, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. We've got
good.
James here as well. We better not ignore him. I was accused of doing a bit of that last week.
Yeah,
How are
plenty
you?
of that. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Nick?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Good. You ready to talk about some V8s and some V6s? And
V8s, V6s, twin turbos. Sorry, nothing in the four-cylinder hot hatch department, although the Kia Stinger does kind of fit into the hot hatch area.
Yeah, it's in that bridge between the two.
That's it. It's got that lift back goodness.
Well, then, all right, take us away, Nick. What were your thoughts of the Stinger?
Well, it was fast, and I was impressed. So I read a fair bit about the Stinger initially, thinking that 4.9 seconds 0 to 100 would be pretty quick car. I think that they do a quarter mile in around about that 13-second mark. So for anyone that is into those sort of performance figures and wants to get out on a drag strip, the Kia Stinger would not embarrass you.
You didn't take it out for a test?
No, well, maybe I did, but no, I didn't. No, I definitely behaved myself.
I just had a question because you know everything.
Yeah.
Does the Stinger have a launch control mode, or is that just flat stick?
No, it does. It has a launch control mode.
Right.
I don't know if I got the launch control working the way it should work because
should have been on the older side.
Well, that's exactly right, and I couldn't read the writing in the in the manual on how to activate the launch control, but.
Right.
It did feel as though there was a little bit of lag. One thing I did like about it though is it had smart mode. So it meant that there was one thing that was smart in the car and that wasn't the driver at the time. So no, smart mode basically means that the vehicle or the car would learn the way you drive and basically give you the right gear. It'd give you the right amount of power the whole way through. So driving it in comfort mode, it was nice and smooth and plenty of power, definitely about no question there. But I did think that that in smart mode, it was the way to go. In sport mode, it felt very firm and the seats, actually the bolsters come out and give you a bit of a hug. I don't know if both sides would give you a hug, but at 59 kilos wringing wet, I actually only felt it to the one side, unless it is because of my age, mate, and I've lost feeling in the right hand side. Yeah, who knows?
So what actually makes it special, and what's going to make the rear-wheel drive lovers, predominantly in Australia, that we've driven Commodores their whole lives, what's going to make them love the Kia Stinger, or to consider about it?
Well, the obvious question there, or the obvious answer to your question there, is that you can still buy a Kia Stinger new. So you can walk into a Kia dealership and go grab one brand new, and they're on the floor, and they'll keep coming in as a new car for as long as Kia wants to be bringing them into Australia. So there is a market there for these cars. We wouldn't be able to go into a Ford dealer to buy the last of the XR8s, XR6 turbos, or anything like that now. Whereas Kia, you've got the ability to go into the showroom and pick one up straight away. So people have asked me, if you were to do it all again, as in Kia, Holden, Ford, you think that the better way for Kia to have had an impact would have been to bring that car in now that there's no V8 Holden and V8 Ford or high performance locally manufactured sedan on the market.
Because there is a big void there that was left with GM and Ford going. So I think personally for me, there's that it's not the same sort of feeling, but having driven it a little bit with you, it was refreshing to be in a car that was rear-wheel drive and fast, and just had that big V8 saloon sort of feel that we were raised on pretty much. So
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting. But I also heard you talking about the stereo in the Stinger.
Well, of course, as you know, that one of my first tests is the sound system of a car, and it was almost as though the muscle car gods were telling me that I need to pay some respect to this car. And AC/DC's Thunderstruck came on. And we all know that song is for V8 utes exclusively. So I flicked through all the radio stations and tried to find some Korean pop music just to pay tribute to where the Kia's come from and its roots. Had no luck there, so I figured to just switch over to something else, something with a bit of doof, taking back to my my 90s and my chaplaps. That's right. But it was amazing. So I think it's got 2 subwoofers under the seats.
Yeah, it is.
So that's pretty good going for a stock car. And you know, it's the family car. So and going back to it being a family car, I put the 2 baby seats in it.
Yep. And
the truth be told, so you'll read over the journey, you'll read a couple of my reviews, and there are 3 kids that need to share the real estate in the back of a car. And with the 2 baby seats in the back, you found that in that middle seat,
would have been tight.
You were a little bit tight. So you'd probably say with no baby seats in the back, you'd get 4 kids in the back. Maybe you'd
4
have
kids in the back.
You'd
You'd be breaking the law there.
Yeah, you would be. No, let's go with 3 kids in the back.
Yeah, right.
But that's with no baby seats.
Yeah.
And then if you would have adults in that car comfortably, you'd only put 2 in the back because...
I think I've always thought, and this is going back to more being from a four-wheel drive world perspective, I've had a lot of mates talk about single cabs and dual cabs.
Yep.
We always ask the question is like, who's going to actually go in the car? Like that's the way I justify getting a dual cab or a single cab is like how many times I have passengers. And I find like the Stinger, I don't think you'd have a lot of passengers commonly, but it did feel like it had enough space that if you did have to sit in the back seat, there was enough room. It wasn't, ungodly tight. I thought it was actually pretty well spacious in the back.
Yeah, and getting the driver's seat in a nice, comfortable position, you'd still find that anyone sitting behind the driver isn't too bad. Again, I'm not the tallest person getting around.
Neither am I.
But, like my comfortable driving position and someone sitting behind me, everyone would be pretty comfortable with that arrangement. And it had good bits. Like it had electric powered seats. It had electric telescopic steering wheel. It had a heated steering wheel. So
I remember that. I remember we were fiddling around with that when we got in the car.
That's a nice little feature. Heated seats. I think they're ventilated too. I had to play with it, but I didn't get to enjoy it because obviously we're in winter down here in Melbourne. But it is packed full of features.
Would you consider it, away from that, would you consider it appealing to the diehards that drove the Commodores and the Falcons, the rear-wheel drive V8s? How would you feel about how the Stinger stands up to those kind of cars? Because as you know, it's pretty obvious they were there to fill that void when they left. Do you think they really filled those shoes?
I think it will. It will fill the void. It is a big hole to fill. You've got V8 diehards from the 70s where Aussie muscle cars, I guess, maybe 67, 68, where the Aussie muscle cars sort of started with your XR and XT Falcons and your HK Monaros and all the rest of it, and then moving through the 60s and the 70s. People did fall in love with the V8s. Then we saw them at Bathurst and racing all over, racetracks everywhere. And that was back in the day when they were racing cars. It was win on Sunday, sell on Monday. That was the theory. Will Kia do it? I don't know. Will Kia up against Hyundai one day at Bathurst? Who knows?
It'd be a big cultural shift, I think, but
I think you're right.
It's not counting. You can't count it out because it's a great car. What did you think about it, Kurt?
Yeah, look, you touched on the tech, so it had a lot of good things which you might think is standard for a lot of cars now, but you've got to have it. So they did it well there. Lane keep assist, smart cruise control, emergency braking, stability control. It's got all the stuff that are now becoming more and more expected. And I think for the price point that the Stinger is at, it's the inclusions that you'd want to see. What do you think, James?
Well, I just thought it was great. It's more on the fun side. It had good sized Brembo brakes, so it's going to pull up when you're having some fun in it. It has an LSD or a limited slip diff, so you're not doing single peggers. You're not spinning one wheel and not spinning the other. Like it's a fun car, and it gives
behaviour that we don't condone.
No, we don't turn tyres here. But it's just the whole fun part about having a rear wheel drive. It's as much as we want to say as a politically correct sort of thing is to just drive sensibly. If you have a rear wheel drive, they're fun to drive. You can't deny that. And I think the Stinger came in with, like I said, the LSD, the big brakes, the big engine. It was fun. Yep. And I've said it to you, I've said it to you as well, and I've said it even to my old man. I said I haven't had fun in a rear-wheel drive car since Holden left. So I thought it was great. But I can't do the undercoat colour. I don't. It looks like undercoat.
Well, it's ceramic silver, they call it.
Yeah, right.
And when I pulled up and jumped out of the car that Kia had given me the previous week and jumped into the Stinger, I thought to myself, am I going to love it? It grew on me. And it grew on me because I saw it more and more on different cars, and it's actually quite a popular colour on something that comes out of Europe.
Yes,
Wow.
I've seen it on a few Audis,
Yeah,
Mercedes as well, I think.
that's it. And I think Porsche will rock around in a
I
colour
think
very
this
I think
is
similar
our
to that.
cultural divide. I drive four-wheel drive, so we don't do the ceramic.
That you get it
undercoat.
dirty
I
anyway,
think the
wouldn't you?
selection.
You just scratch them.
I think the selection of colours though makes up for that. I think there's quite a few colours that you can pick the Stinger from.
There are, and I actually like the way they've gone with those vibrant and loud colours again.
Yeah.
So back in I'm going to go back to the 70s where Ford had a colour called Vermilion Fire, like
Vermilion.
Chrysler had a colour called Hemi Orange. You don't get those bright colours too often on cars these days that are geared for that enthusiast. And Kia's got this orange, and it looks really, really good.
So your parting thoughts on the car?
Well, parting thoughts. I could have held onto it for a little bit longer, and I would have enjoyed getting it out on the open road a little bit more. I did like it. For the people that we would market that vehicle to, so for our novated lease customers, I don't think you can go wrong with a car that's got a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty. I think that is a big, big benefit. So a car like that, if, in a novated lease, you'd be looking at a 5-year lease. You'd turn it over at the end of 5 years, hold on to it, whatever you wanted to do. It's still got 2 years warranty. So the new owner gets the balance of that warranty. Or if you kept it in the family because you'd worn that seat into the most comfortable position, you could, and you've still got a car with some serious warranty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so no, overall, I would give it a big thumbs up.
And on that note, we actually had the GTS-R at the office and at our shoot, and we had the new Mustang that came out from Ford, which got reintroduced in 2017, I believe.
Yep.
And we did a bit of a photo shoot you may have seen on the YouTube and on our articles. And we just on the topic of rear-wheel drive, what did you think about the GTS-R? And compare, we don't want to make a big comparison because they're two different kettles of fish, but what did you think about the GTS-R and the Mustang?
Oh, well, there's not much I can say other than I love the sound of a V8. So for me, getting into that GTS-R was what it was all about. And rear-wheel drives are something Aussies love. I mean, the rest of the world shifted to front-wheel drive cars. I mean, in America, you'll get a big host of cars that are front-wheel drive. And, I mean, front-wheel drives traditionally were designed for smaller cars. They'll have an east-west engine rather than a north-south. So when you pop the bonnet, it looks like the engine's been put in there incorrectly, but it has on a front-wheel drive.
I'll just write that down.
Yeah. And the
Taking notes.
reason for that is it's just the way the drivetrain in a rear-wheel drive and a front-wheel drive work. So with a rear-wheel drive, you've got a big transmission tunnel that goes through the middle of the car, out to the back, putting power to the back wheels. With a front-wheel drive, to increase the amount of room in a car, an east-west engine means that you're not taking up that bonnet long ways. It's not coming into the car as much, and then you don't need all that other gear underneath. So that's a bit of history for you for front-wheel drive, but they're not new. They've been around since, I think Citroen was the first to bring out a front-wheel drive, and in America, Oldsmobile had a V8 front-wheel drive car called a Tornado. Now
That would have the most torque steering on the planet.
I've been to a few car shows, and these are an impressively big looking vehicle, and they're front-wheel drive. And I would say that back in the day, they didn't have the technology that a front-wheel drive car has today. For me, front-wheel drives have come a long way, and they'll come with a limited slip diff, they'll come with traction control, they'll come with all the good bits that any car will come with now. One of the things that people would say to you with a front-wheel drive, pulling a boat out of a boat ramp, you're pulling the car and the boat out of the water at the same time. Hopefully not pulling the car out of the water.
Yeah,
Depends on how good you are.
I've had to do that before.
How far back you've gone.
That's exactly right.
But what about the popularity? So front-wheel drive, what about all-wheel drive? I think, with front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, the market for rear wheel, would you say it's minimised?
Yeah, I feel like it's dwindling away. I find it, like I always say, I'm predominantly into four-wheel drives, but when I do look at any car outside of that small world, I don't really see rear-wheel drive. I do agree with you, Curtis. I think they're dwindling now, and it must be a testament to how well the manufacturers are creating these front-wheel drives. Like there has to be a rhyme and reason as to why they're starting to go away. But you'd know yourself, because your first car was a front-wheel drive, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And from there, I had another front wheel, and now I'm in a all-wheel drive. And I mean, I don't have a problem with front-wheel drive personally. And I've never driven or I've never owned rear-wheel drive, so it seems like there's not much out there, and there's not much interesting me in rear-wheel drives now. But look, the Kia is something different, and as you mentioned earlier, as long as Kia want to keep putting it out there, you know, it's obviously got a place in the market. I since we got the car, I've seen it on the road a bit more. Maybe now my eyes are open to it.
Absolutely.
But I've seen them around a little bit more, and as you said, over time they might fill that gap that the V8's left. I think it'll take a while if it does, but you know, fair play to them for giving it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, in future, I've just seen some new information about the 2021 Stingers that are coming out, and they've actually started to plan some upgrades to the Optima. So you can tell they're really taking this seriously, and this car's not a once-off thing. Like, they're here to stay. They're going to
give it a real go.
Yeah, it's great for the Aussie market, I think.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, I think we've given everyone a fair bit of insight on front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. Maybe my love affair with rear-wheel drive more than the rest of the world and my colleagues here. But Curtis is going to give you a little bit of information on how to catch us on the socials, and we might even let James do some of that as well, given he's our little whippersnipper here.
Okay, so email is carclub@eziway.net.au. Instagram is Eziway Car Club. YouTube is
Eziway Car Club as well.
Thought I'd give him an easy one.
Yeah, there's a layup and I'm still sweating. So just jump onto the YouTube and subscribe to that, because we have all our teasers for the articles and stuff like that, with all links to go straight back to the website. And
leave us plenty of feedback.
Yeah.
And anything you're interested in seeing or reading about, we'll include it, you know, when we're putting it together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for watching.